The show will begin in 5 minutes.
Level 7, turn left. Then turn right. The doors are closed. Do not even try. Do you hear voices in this empty hole? Do you know sounds of this afternoon? The neighbors are eating dinner. The neighbors are watching TV. The neighbors behind the walls.
The show will begin in 4 minutes. The show will begin in 3 minutes. The show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. And now, our feature presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing on this fine Sunday? Happy Star Wars Day. Well, traditional Star Wars Day, because as far as I'm concerned, Orthodox Star Wars Day is on May 25th, the anniversary of the original movie's release. Allow me to show you what I mean. So this from the Babylon Bee. Orthodox Star Wars fans prepare to celebrate May the 11th be with you. So, Orthodox Star Wars fans have reportedly begun preparations for Star Wars Day, which they say occurs on May 11th. They view the more popular May the 4th as a valid holiday on a heretical day. Orthodox Star Wars Day is celebrated similarly, but it's on May the 11th. They also don't recognize the prequel or sequel trilogies and consider the expanded universe under the Legends brand as part of the Star Wars canon. And then it goes on to make some other jokes about Star Wars. But yeah, I think the real Orthodox Star Wars Day ought to be May 25th because that's the day that the original movie was released in 1977. 48 years ago this year. Oh, also, please bear with the changing color of lights on the display here because I had to LCD condition my monitor because if you're watching my previous stream, it kept on flashing randomly and retaining ghost images of other things. So I'm running a LCD conditioning into the hope of getting rid of that. And I have it plugged into the monitor to one, keep my MacBook alive, two, keep the microphone connected, and three, put everything into widescreen so you can have it show up like this. But enough about that. Let's get into the point of today's stream. Trying to figure out how to plan my week for this week. So, before I did this stream, I actually completed the Woodfall Temple in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And after this stream, I am going to keep going as far as I can because I'm dedicating this month to Majora's Mask. There's also a movie I finally want to see at the theater and break my streak a little early. I've been going on about how Mission Impossible 8 has been the only thing that would get me back. Well, according to Online Movie Critic, Thunderbolts is actually really good. 8 out of 10. This is someone who gave Captain America Brave New World a 3 out of 10. So clearly they did something right, though not everyone is impressed. As you can see, Jester Bell, she makes good videos, but she is clearly not a fan of Thunderbolts and, quote, won't pretend it's not. I decided that, considering the usual Disney critics are criticizing this, and someone who is a little more neutral or at the very least is blatantly honest and only gives scores if they deserve it, I am going to go see this after my eye exam that I scheduled. Yes, I actually did a little adulting. I looked into my insurance without getting into too much detail. Long story short, I have vision coverage. There's a place that takes my insurance, so I decided why not put it to use, even though I've been made to pay more co-pays than before. Maybe it's because I'm using it a lot more. I don't know. If you know anything about that, you let me know in the comments. It wasn't anything huge, just shy of $50, which isn't the worst thing in the grand scheme of things when you consider it was for the CAT scan and seeing. I guess it's because it wasn't preventative, because this is from my back. So yeah, I do not expect to just have everything covered unless I hit the $750 maximum out of pocket for the year. But I digress. At the end of the day, it's better than paying the well over $1,000 it would have cost out of pocket without insurance. I still stand by my video about how the American insurance system isn't that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that bad of a setup. Because you at least have the option to go into debt if you need to, rather than just be stuck on an arbitrary waiting list like that one woman in Canada who has to wait until March of 2026 for a brain scan because of a potential brain tumor, which, if it's there, it could metastasize during that time. Now, I'm no doctor, but I'm reasonably certain that is probably going to be fatal, or it's going to prove that there is, or let's say the brain scan happens in March of next year and they find out it metastasized. You literally could have gotten this figured out sooner, but no. Hey, at the very least, here in America, you have the option to go into debt to figure it out right away. Again, it's not perfect, but it is what it is. Anyway, trying to decide what time to go see Thunderbolts at. I know I need to leave a little time after my eye exam in case they dilate my pupils. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, enough about that. Trying to figure out what to do with Wednesday through Saturday. I've also decided that I'm going to do these live streams on Sunday afternoon now. Maybe shuffle it around if I happen to be invited to a family function of some kind or something like that. Because 99% of the time, I don't have anything else going on Sundays. I think the last time I... Hold on, let me see if there's anything I... Well, Easter Sunday, I had people come over, but that's not the same as going out, and I still live streamed at night, as I had usually been doing up to that point. Yeah, I do not get out a whole lot. I'm trying to figure out when the last Sunday was that I, say, went to visit family or something. I think it might have been March of 2023 when I visited my great uncle because my mom was giving him something from my grandmother for her. Okay, I think the last Sunday I went out was on July 14th when I bought the AirPods I'm using right now. No, wait, it was in October when I went to my grandparents' place again, spending as much time with them as possible because they're only going to be in town for like a week and a half. So yeah, I'm trying to decide what to do for lunch and dinner. I'm either going to have to, this is on Tuesday, I'm either going to have to wait until, I'll figure it out. I'm trying to decide if I want to see two movies or just one because I could go see something else in addition to Thunderbolts, but it's going to cost me another $25 compared to, no, $20. 15 for small popcorn and a 20-ounce bottle of water, and then $5 or 7 for the ticket. Yeah, I'm thinking the double features were a little reckless. Plus, another thing I realized while I was thinking about it is if I go to too many movies at the theater, I will run out of options for the Saturday movie. But we'll worry about that later. What I really need help deciding on is what my next primary TV show should be. I finished Fallout on Friday, but now I want to choose something from Apple TV Plus to spin up an episode or two of each night on the when I don't have a movie or something else. Like this week's movie is Swan Song, finally. However, I have had to delay that so many times because I just didn't have the energy some nights, and then other nights I decided I wanted to wrap up the primary TV show. So yeah, right now for my queue, I'm considering seeing, I mean, C for All Mankind, Physical, Dickinson, or Central Park. I'm considering something with half-hour episodes so that I have a little more time for video games at night and I can spend up until 4 or 5 p.m. working on YouTube videos, whether I'm recording more, editing more, because I'm all set through May 8th, so after this live stream, I'm going to go right back to playing Majora's Mask. I'm also going to wait until probably Wednesday to start recording again, because I can pretty much record whenever I want, regardless of outside noise, thanks to my white noise machine blocking out any noise from outside. So that's a W. Anyway, I think it's time to take a look back at this week's videos. Oh, so I've already gotten a view on my today's video, why so many adults are leaving their childhood religions. Here, let me show you the article, and you get to see a look at other articles I'm looking at reading and reacting to, or that I already did, but just haven't been published yet. Like, tomorrow's video is going to be a reaction to this one from Bloomberg Business Week, why US men think college isn't worth it anymore. The one from today's video, no, that's the one I edited for Thursday. This is the one from last Thursday. Oh, here's one that I'm probably not going to get to in long form video. Wait, which one was it again for today? Nope. Uh-uh. No, it's not that one, though. I think I might have to do that as a follow-up because I am Gen Z. I've been thinking about rebranding to Elder Gen Z because that's what I am, an elder of Gen Z. I was literally born 3 days too late to be a millennial. My high school graduating class was half millennials, half Gen Z. I think we were lumped in with the millennials at the time. Then they decided 1996 was the cutoff point. And so 97 up until keeps on fluctuating between 2010 and 2012. You know what? Let's actually look it up. Generation years. All right, from mccrindle.com. Oh, this is an Australian one. Huh, they call silent gens the boomers. I mean, builders. Then the boomers. Then Gen X. And then the millennials. I'll go up to 1994. Okay, that's not as relevant to me because that's the Australian one. Let's go with Wikipedia. I know, they always say don't use Wikipedia as a source, but we can check its sources if we have any questions. So, Western world, this is what we're focusing on. Greatest Generation goes from 1901 to 1927. Silent, that would be 1928 to 1945. And then baby boomers, or as we just say here, the boomers, 46 to 64. They're the biggest because, well, they had the highest birth. They were among the highest birth rate in recent history, and it went on the longest. So apparently, 65 is when they decided, oh, hey, it's Gen X now. So Millennials, 81 to 96. And it was only up until 2019 they finally began to outnumber the boomers, mostly by virtue of the fact that some of the boomers just passed away of old age, which is inevitable when time passes. All right, and then Gen Z. Pew Research says 97 to 12. They can all seem to agree that 1997 is when it starts, so that's why I could call myself Elder Gen Z or Elder Zoomer. You let me know which one has a better ring to it. And then the Library of Congress and Statistics of Canada, they use the Pew Research Center version. And then the US Census designated it from 97 to 2013. So they experienced the onset and effects of the beer bug as children or young adults. In my case, I was a young adult. I was 23 at the time. A lot of Tim Pool's recent videos citing Gen Z, he keeps on saying the oldest are 26 to 27. No, they're turning 28 this year. I should know. I'm one of them. So, and then Gen Alpha, they just use the early 2010s through the mid 2020s. And then Gen Beta is really, apparently futurist. Mark McCrindle defined it as 2025 to 2039. So yeah, this gets a little confusing sometimes. Would you say 2012 or 2013 is the end of Gen Z? Because it really depends. You could say 2010 is the start of Gen Alpha because that's when the iPad came out. And then by the time it became more widely adopted by, let's say, 2013, that's when iPads were stuck in the faces of 2 to 3 year olds rather than actual parenting in a lot of cases. Yeah, you could say that Gen Alpha could be as early as 2010, could be as early as, could be as far out as 2014. It really depends on the cultural shift and such. Or I guess you'd have to go and figure out when were iPads widely used enough, or let's actually look up the term iPad kid. Okay, I'm gonna have to type in when was the term iPad kid coined. Gained traction around the mid to late 2000s. Okay, that is physically impossible because the original iPad came out in 2010. I was there. We had the very first iPad here. My dad got us the very first iPad. All right, so according to r slash generationology, 40% of voters on a poll from 3 years ago said 2006, which I'm guessing is the birth year. So this comment says iPad Kids' first year was in 2013, which lines up with what I think was what I think would be the case. Sorry, right? It's what I think makes the most sense is iPad was introduced in 2010. Again, I was there. At 13 years old, I had my, well, we had a shared very first iPad. I didn't have an iPad all to myself until I bought one for myself in 2022. Then I sold it to my mom and got an iPad Air, which I eventually traded in so I could buy the smart light bulbs in Henry's Mojo Dojo dormitorio bedroom, and the one in that way direction on for Henry's Mojo Dojo Officina office. You can't see it, but you can see its light. Well, maybe not as well because Mr. Monitor is doing its LCD conditioning. But hey, if you're enjoying the change in the light color, let me know. Maybe I'll do it more often for fun. This is my way of coping with my technology acting up. So yeah, I think we're just gonna have to go with. I think 2012 is probably the best one because I was listening to a Tim Pool segment and basically the generations have gotten shorter and shorter because there were more changes in the past. I mean, there are more changes happening now than there were in the past. So the reason that 64 is the final year for the boomers, that was before any drastic change happened, although they split the boomers in half with part one and part two. Part one would be 46 to 55, and then part two, 56 to 64. So they'd have to split in two on account of the fact that a lot of the younger ones were not old enough to go off to Vietnam. So yeah, I guess it's because all the boomers were born into it. Although if you really think about it, someone born in 1946 is actually old enough to be the parent of someone from almost old enough to be someone to be the parent of someone born in 1964. So let's assume baby boomer born on January 1st, 1946, graduates high school in 1964. Okay, not that likely. I think that's why they were like, okay, we have to cut this off at some point. Maybe that's when the birth rate declined. You know what? Let's actually look up American birth rate history. All right, macrotrends.net. So it only goes back to 1950 apparently. So boomers, and then okay, you can see the decline here. I guess Gen X is that because the birth rate went down to where it below 20 births per 1,000 people as of 1965, and then it sank to a low in 78. That started climbing a little bit until 1981. That's when the millennials started coming along, and they were 15.1 per 1,000 people. And then my birth year, 1997, it fell back to about 14.52. And then you see it decline, keeps on going lower and lower. And this is apparently where the number of, this is the birth year for this year's graduating high school class. And then this is for next year. Well, because of the way that the school years are structured, it's a mix of, so this year's it's going to be people born in 06 and 07, then next year 07 and 08. Yeah, this is where the economy crashed, which is apparently why it started plummeting. And then now we are down to roughly 12 per 1,000 people for the last 10 years. So far, 2025 is still above that. Okay, what I want to know is the average number of births per woman. I think it's at about 1.7 right now. Yeah, I'm gonna look for that. All right, so according to World Bank, according to Google, it's 1.66 births per woman as of 2022. Obviously, that's just the averaging out of, I'm gonna guess it's based on the number of women and then the number of births. But anyway, as you can see from this, the year I was born dips below 2. No, it only goes back to 1960. But tail end of the boomers, it was 3.65, and then it was declining, and then 65. Ooh, it's a pretty sharp dip. 3.19 in 64 to 2.91 in 65. So it looks like it never sank below 3. And then there's an even sharper dip for the 70s. Wow, it dipped below 2 in 1973. I think that's when all the overpopulation talk was just getting started. That picked up during the Carter administration through the Reagan years. And then Bush won, it got back to 2.01. And then the Clinton administration, it went down, spiked back up right after I was born. And so the good times, the 2000s, kept up until the financial crash, and after that, it just never recovered. So now it's down to 1.66. Yeah, this is 18 years ago, was at 2.12. Anyway, I think you get the idea. This has just been on my mind a lot because apparently, I guess not that many middle-aged people are going to go for the type of jobs that they need to fill that are usually filled with like 18-year-olds. But also, I have to think that automation and creative thinking will get us out of that. Yes, it's going to. Yes, it might be a little difficult, but I think we can make it work for now. And then, as long as some people are having kids, I think we'll be in a good place. Here's the thing, nobody should be forced into it, but also, nobody should be stopped either. That's what I always say. All right, let's actually focus on what this stream is titled for, helping me plan my week. So, I could just watch the 6 episode miniseries called The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. And I could finish that pretty quickly if I do just 1 or 2 episodes a day starting tonight. Or I could keep going. Or I could choose something longer and then, like with more episodes, I mean, and then I can just stop whenever I have things come up. So if I go with C, that would be 24 episodes. So at a rate of about 1 per day. That would carry me through Memorial Day. I also have to resist the temptation to go see 2 movies on Tuesdays because I can't have I can't be spending that much money. And also, if I go around one of my snack times, let's say first show of the day, that would be morning snack, and then I get home and make lunch and something like that. Or let's say I go for afternoon snack, that'd be the more realistic one. I just eat my protein bar on the way to the mall or something like that. And then go to the, or make something before I leave. And then when I get there, if it's like a 2, 3 o'clock show, I can actually, what was it? Oh, I can just get my small popcorn and my 20-ounce water bottle. Hopefully the prices haven't been brought up to surpass $15 yet, because when I went on my birthday, it had gone up to $14.95. So I have to avoid multi-feature trips, especially because, like I said earlier, that's just gonna eliminate possibilities from my Saturday movie pool because I don't have enough streaming originals to dip into to make up for it. Alright, so I'm not gonna do something that has a new season coming up because I want to not be tied to it. So either Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, because I could easily jump back to something on Prime Video when I finish that. I could fill a lot of time with C, For All Mankind, Physical, Dickinson, Central Park. I've already seen the first 2 seasons of Central Park, but I haven't watched season 3 yet, and there's no word on a season 4. I just know for a fact I am not following any show week to week anymore because there's nothing that's must watch anymore. And then a lot of Prime Video shows, they still drop their entire season on one day. Sure, some of their shows go 3 episodes released for the premiere day and then one per week every week for like, what, a month? Honestly, lining up with my Airbender results for the Avatar The Last Airbender Avatar Studios Bending Quiz, I choose the freedom to pick up an episode of a show when I want to, and if I have something else I want to do that I need to take care of, I can ignore it for a little bit and then come back to it. Like with Fallout, I watched. Oh, I just remembered. I gotta tell my cousin's husband that I finished watching it. I'll tell him after I finish this stream. He's the one who recommended it to me. I've never played the games, but he said it was a good watch on its own. And after almost a year, I finally got around to starting it, and several weeks after that, I finally finished it. Well, in other news, I got back into working out recently, doing the 3 weeks of perfect strength program on Apple Fitness Plus. It's a good challenge, but honestly, I'm starting to think maybe I should just do a time to walk every single day for a certain amount of time. Like, do a 45-minute walk every single day. And after that, I'll be free to do it. I don't think I can or should go back to my old routine in 2016 of 4 hours a day of gallivanting around town, playing Pokemon Go, just going out of my house and walking around. Because, yeah, that was pretty good exercise. That got me a lot of sunlight over the course of that summer. But there's the time investment. Unless I'm actively listening to something that is going to improve my knowledge, give me something I can work with when I get home. And by then, who knows, I might be too tired to do anything productive. Honestly, I would not be against just going outside and doing a time to walk before breakfast. The problem is that might erode my willpower to do things for the channel. I'm worried about it eroding my willpower, so what I usually like to do is like to prioritize what I really want to get done first and foremost so that I can so that when my willpower is depleted, it's not as big of a deal. It's the reason I like to save movies and shows for the last thing I do in the day is because if I lose focus or something like that, it's far less consequential if I compared to video production and such. But that's just me. I know a lot of people, including the writer of the article from Thursday's video. I know they say that it's a good thing to get out and walk first thing in the morning. But again, the problem is it erodes more of your willpower. I mean, you could argue my health is more important than the other things. I'm willing to cut the video game time, but at a certain point, it's a matter of what you choose to do or not. So, this is the article from Thursday's video, Women's Health. So, according to Ava Erickson, morning walks in sunlight helped her reclaim her energy. You know what? Maybe it would be worth trying to. Maybe it would be worth doing and seeing what happens. Maybe I should experiment with that. I don't think I'm gonna bother until the 12th at the earliest. That's the day that. That's the day after I finish the strength program on Apple Fitness Plus, unless I decide to just do the remaining ones back to back over the course of multiple days. So I'm thinking I'm thinking just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And honestly, I'm beginning to think I have to delete the scheduled meditation time because I'm still getting some use out of Apple Fitness Plus. I think instead of meditating, it would be best to do the walk. And then instead of having the fixed plan, I can just spin up a meditation if I decide I need to focus, calm, or anything like that. I've been trying to get away from the Apple Fitness Plus plan, if I'm being completely honest, because I'm tired of the bendability of it. Like, I am stuck to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or I don't have as much ability to delay it. Maybe starting on the 12th, workout should be just a time to walk. Let me count the number of them I have left to do before I'll have completed them all. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, let's say I start doing a time to walk every single day on top of the strength workouts because what I really wanted to accomplish with the strength workouts was keep the muscle mass building, but maybe I should do more walking, only make my homemade pizza on Saturday night, you know, guaranteed pizza, popcorn, and movie. And then the other nights of the week rotate between pasta with vegetables or chicken sandwich or burger with tater tots or crinkle cut fries, depending on what 5 pound bag is available. I lean more towards tater tots because the serving size gives me a number of pieces to work with. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for the live stream. Thanks for watching. I'll check back in with you next Sunday, probably at a later time. I'm not doing the night times anymore. I'm thinking a little later in the afternoon. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.